Hey, it's news from heaven. We don't know anything about our spirit. That's what I'm here to talk to you about. Really rude thing to say. Really destructive, harmful accusation. I'm just spreading this negativity on the internet. But what else are you going to do? What else are you going to watch? No, how do we get from that to something good? How is that something that improves our day? And why would this video be anything you want to like and subscribe to? Please do that. Please really click it. Please comment. That matters. I'm sorry that I told you don't know anything about your spirit. And what I'm interested in is how is that a message of hope? I'm in the game. I'm in the Swedenborg YouTube game. What is that even a game? Because what I care about is this. Here's you and me and everyone. And we have all the stuff that is trying to make us miserable. You know this. You know we talk about this in this show. There's truth up here that is waiting to set us free. That life is better than we think it is, and a lot of the stuff that makes us miserable isn't true, or even if it is based on something that's happening, it doesn't mean what it's saying it means. So how can we hear something like, we don't know anything about our spirit, and we're ignorant about something, and something very personal and important to us, and yet, to me, it's immensely comforting. How can we say that this is something that brings light and hope? I don't know. Let's see if it pans out. This is Divine Providence. You can download this for free. There's a link. Go to Swedenborg.com, however you want to get it. Because Swedenborg.com. And you can follow along. This is Divine Providence number 119. Then the Lord cleanses us from the compulsions in our inner nature and from the evil practices themselves in our outer nature. Oh, you've not only said we don't know anything, now you're saying that we're evil and we practice that evil. It's a deep hole we're digging out of. And this is in a sequence of where he's describing the laws of divine providence, or how we get reborn, regenerated as people, how we go from a diseased state of mind to a healthy, happy state of mind. It's work, but it's awesome work. Okay, here we are. The reason the Lord cleanses us from our compulsions to evil when we expel evils. Oh, hey, that's not right. When we expel evils in apparent autonomy, is that the Lord cannot cleanse us until we have done our part. Man, did I want to stop reading and talk about that. But I resisted, and what I did was I just created this cache of different color highlights, because we got to talk about all this stuff. First of all, okay, come on. The Lord cannot. Is Swedenborg talking about that God can't do something? Yeah, God can't do something. There's some kind of sphere of influence around us, and particularly our freedom, that even if you got the divine out here, there's something that, and it must have been that the divine gave us this jurisdiction, but there's something that, and within this sphere close to us, unless we give our permission in some way, even God can't do something. But at the same time, we don't know anything about what's going on with this whole thing, so how do these two reconcile? I don't know. We'll see if I know by the end of reading this. And we've got compulsions to evil and then evils. And it's something about evil being the source of unrest in us, and there's two parts to it, and how do we get out of it, and why can't God do stuff, and all this kind of stuff. The evils in our outer self and the compulsions to evil in our inner self are as closely connected as roots and trunk. So how would you divide this up? I think if we say compulsions to evil are the desires to do harmful things. And you could even, like, people have this all the time where they're like, okay, I'm really going to work on not gossiping. But, I did it again. Why do we struggle? It's not that you can just say, okay, I don't want to feel like I'm interested in harmful things of whatever nature. And then the faucet turns off. There's these compulsions to evil that are like this root system. And Swedenborg is asserting that the evils themselves are like, yellow is not a very good color for evil, but whatever. I already did the highlight. These are the evils. I would say this is the actual stuff you do, like the instances of, oh, I took it through from feeling to thought and to action. So what Swedenborg is asserting here is that if we can try to put a damper on the actual doing stuff, that is when we can empower God to uproot this stuff and clear out, so that we're not constantly for eternally fighting this battle of, I want to try to be a little bit better than I am. Unless the evils are expelled, then there is no opening. And this will be opening to God, to regeneration, to love, to getting where we want to. How obviously was this a picture of opening the mind here? Because before, it's all clogged up by these negative thoughts. And even if these negative thoughts are about us, they're feeding off of everything false and negative that's in us. So the more that we can push that stuff away, and it's not as simple as, I'm not trying to say like classic religious guilt trip, like you feel bad because you are bad. I don't think it's like that. However, if you think about it more in a more sophisticated way, like the body, everything negative that's happening in the body is a load that the biological system is bearing. So if I'm eating junk food, it can make another condition worse, even if it's not directly related to that condition, or if there's some kind of bacteria that you can get rid of. Everything eases the strain placed on the body. So the more that we're pushing away doing these harmful things, it can then get it so that our spiritual immune system can deal with these other things. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm saying it's cool to think about. It's okay to think about, hey, I can do work. I can find and eliminate harmful things inside myself, even without saying that, okay, every negative thought about me is true. I live comfortably with, like, I'm great. The negative stuff that comes into my mind saying this stuff is not true, and yet I have tons of work to do at the same time. This is, to me, a great dynamic, because the excitement is, okay, we've got a target now. We can remove this stuff. Show, how do you aid God in freeing us? No judgment, just freedom. That's what we're looking to do. Did I explain that? I don't think I did. The evils blocked the way and closed the door. God is. Why aren't we just fixed instantly? There is this stuff in the way, closing the door, a door that the Lord cannot open. Again, with God muscles aren't strong enough. I think it's more about the sanctity of the freedom, or the indispensable nature of freedom to our being conscious beings, unless we cooperate. As I have already explained, if you feel like I'd like to know a little more about that, I'd refer you here to 114 to 118, which directly precede this. Remember, you can download the book for free. So when we apparently on our own open the door, the Lord uproots our compulsions at the same time. So God is doing stuff. And if you look at the complexity of the process of trying to become a new person, it's like, of course, I don't know what's going on. God is doing stuff, but yet we have such a critical part here. This is why we can do things and feel like we're doing things apparently on our own, but yet if we don't do our own part, God can't do it. So it's like this partnership that we're carrying an essential element, but we can't do it without the other one. God is carrying this huge essential element in the process, but can't do it without us. We need to work together to get it done. And we're going to be taking a look at, I'll spill the beans on this metaphor here, because I'm pretty sure we get to it, but we may not, which is that this is exactly how if this sounds like this is a weird dynamic that Swedenborg is making up to try to square the weird nature of the idea of a divine with how things are here, or that try to fit together that you could have a providence running everything when it's obvious that we take actions and seem to be able to do things. How could it be that there's sort of this voluntary us where we do these little things, but there's really an involuntary, the God side of it that does most of this stuff, that really is doing all these complex processes? That would never work and go together. There's no example for that. There's no precedent for that. That's exactly how the body is. That is exactly how the body is. We sit here, I say, this is my body. This is my machine, right? And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get healthy with my body. So you know how I'm going to do that? I'm going to change the way that I eat, and I'm going to exercise more, and I don't know what else I'm going to do, something cool, and that's going to make me healthy. You think about how tiny and superficial those actions are. Eating, like I'm going to pick which objects I stick in, and I'm going to move around. How does that make you healthy? How does that make you healthy? Do we know anything about, or even if we know, are we participating all in, let's say I eat some green leafy stuff. Once that goes down the hatch, what's going on then? What happens then? There's this insanely complex process where there's I've never even seen how my stomach is working, but it's secreting the right acids to break it into enzymes, and then it's all being divided up and brought to where it needs to go. And how do you even use it? Break it into not enzymes but molecules. How do you know and assign where those go? How do those go into cells? How does respiration work? When we're running, you just know move forward, and then you get healthy. But how does cardiovascular repair work? How does that decrease blood pressure? We don't even know how our heart beats, or we're not even beating it. So there's all this work being done by the body in this amazing way, by the involuntary part of the body. But if we don't do the voluntary part, then the body can't do its part. This is exactly the same dynamic here. Swedenborg is saying this happens spiritually as well. But the difference is health is spiritually pushing aside, uprooting, not doing bad things. Just like physically there are bad things that hurt the body, spiritually there are things that hurt the spirit, which is you got to stop the things that will cultivate in you a love for harming others, and instead push those away so there's room to cultivate a love for goodness and truth. Okay. Another reason is that, and here's a cool kind of metaphysical donkey tail to pin on that. Another reason is that the Lord is at work in the center of our being, and works from that center into everything that depends on it, all the way to our boundaries. And while we are living at these boundaries while this is happening. So you've got your life out here. This is actually the stuff that you're conscious of. This is the stuff that comes to mind, the decisions you're making. This is equivalent to the decisions to eat and move and do all that. But there's so much more going on inside of our heart and mind than we could ever know. There's all the roots of our compulsions. There's our deeper beliefs. There's our motivations. There's all this stuff that I don't probably even have good words for. And God is working from that out to affect eventually to the outer level. Just like symptoms. You can have all kinds of stuff going on in the body until you get an outer symptom, you didn't even know that it was there. As long as we ourselves are keeping these boundaries closed, as long as we're not opening up by expelling the harmful things, what does it do? No cleansing can take place. See, that's not like God is sitting on this panel or at a judge's throne, whatever judges sit on, and saying, okay, are you good enough or not? This is like, I'm trying to offer you medical assistance, but unless you give consent, I can't do that. There can only be the kind of work within us. If we say, I'm not going to try, I don't care about taking actions to pursue what's good and true. There can only be the kind of work within us by the Lord that the Lord does in hell. The Lord is still working in hell, still trying to help. We are forms of hell when we are in the grip of our compulsions and the evils they cause. You want a definition of hell? It's not this revenge machine that God set up. Hell is when we are in the grip of our compulsions and the evil they cause. You can be in hell when you're consumed by selfishness or revenge or whatever it is. That's hell. That's the core of hell. This work is simply arranging it so that one thing does not destroy another, so that what is good and true is not harmed. Rather than before, where you saw trying to fix us and give us full health, when you get into that hell state, it's just like, okay, I'm going to try to get it so that all this negative stuff is in one box, and I'm going to create sort of a safe little space where there is the good and true within you, so that the evil stuff doesn't destroy the good stuff and you're not obliterating yourself. That's all you can do when we're not willing to do our part. It's still looking out for us. It's still caring for us, but it's much more exciting to get meet our destiny and become the people that we're destined to be. That's what God's trying to do for us. The Lord's words in the book of Revelation, I think a biblical quote is coming up, show that the Lord is constantly pressing us, urging us to open the door. This is the door. Look at this. Look, I am standing at the door and knocking. To all who hear my voice and open the door, I will enter, and I will dine with them, and they with me. That's a fairly famous quote. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. But you can be thinking, when you're there's times when you are trying to find God. Like when you need help and things are not going well, and you're really like, are you there? Can you help me? And you read something like that, like, I'm here at the door and I'm knocking. What's the door? Like, okay, I can't find the door. Do I have a door? Are you knocking on the wall? Like, what do I do? What is the door? That door is, Swedenborg is saying that door is putting aside or even working to do our little part to try to put aside the stuff that is not compatible with the good of love, which is what God wants to bring us more and more fully into. As you remember, we have to allow God to get the right conditions. This is what God wants to do. Send in all this good. It's just like going to be a ball of yellow highlighter. Like, we're going to be so happy in there. But that can't happen unless we're willingly making space for it and pushing the negative things to the periphery of what we're doing. And here we get to the title. We know absolutely nothing about the inner state of our minds. Yet there are infinite things there, none of which come to our awareness, which is just like the body, where I was describing that, now we have textbooks and things that can give you a sense of a lot of the things in there, but you didn't know that intuitively. If I hadn't had that, I never would have had any guess. I wouldn't even think there were cells. I don't even know if I don't think I'd know about the circulatory system. What would we possibly know about how things work? And why this is, to me, awesome, knowing nothing about the inner states of our minds, is let's look back at the nature of when we're in this state of dark cloud dominion. What are they telling us? How much of it is saying you're messed up in different ways? So it could be from one angle that you're evil. A lot of people deal with shame or guilt, and they're saying, look, this is why you're bad. You have these issues. You're this kind of problem. That is a commentary on the state of our mind, or of our spirit, or of who we are, right? That's a commentary on the state of who we are. And it's trying to get you to be upset by saying, look, isn't this true about who you are? This is confirming that you are messed up. That's what hurts. Or there's another one that is, your failure. This is you are not as good as you should be. That's a commentary on the state of who you are. You're not as good as you should be. Not even morally good, but good at stuff. There's another one that's like this, you are in danger in some way because this thing is going to harm you or whatever. This is all a commentary on the state of you, of your character, and of your essence, really. Even if it's not always stated as such, if you break it down a bit, that's what it is. And this is saying, I don't know what's going on in me. I don't know. You're talking about the deeper recesses of what makes me who I am. There is so much stuff in there that you can't come. Don't talk to me about it. Go talk to God. God is the one managing that. So if you think that there's an issue with how things are being run in who I am, you're talking to the wrong department here. I don't know. And that, just to realize that anything coming in saying, this is what's wrong with you definitively, that's above your pay grade. You don't know that. God knows that. So to me, this is how that can be a message of hope, even while I'm getting this message at the same time to, hey, look in myself, see what's evil, and try to expel it, because that's just evil. That's just problematic if you don't like the word evil, although I'm becoming more and more fond of it. It's just a peripheral thing. And it's just part of the work that I do. I don't know what's going on here, but I do know that God is running it, and that no matter what, even in worst case scenario like we're seeing here, God is managing it and getting it so it's in the right state. So to me, that's a big pressure release. We don't know what's going on there. And it takes away the pressure I've got to manage my life and this thing and make something of myself. We don't know. You don't know. Yet there are infinite things there, none of which come to our awareness. The inner workings of our thought and our inner self is our actual spirit, and there are infinite elements in there, innumerable elements, just as there are in our physical bodies. I thought we would get to that. In fact, there's even more, since our spirit is human as to its form, and there are elements in it that answer to everything in our bodies. Now, since our senses tell us nothing about the way our minds or souls are at work, both together and separately in all the elements of our bodies, we do not know how the Lord is at work in all the elements of our minds and souls. This is another great way to say it. When you're getting this head weather saying, here's what's wrong with you, to just say, I don't know how the Lord's at work in the elements of my mind or soul. That is a powerful little sentence, because it diffuses it, or it disarms the main weapon they had, which is that you are you're the CEO of your existence. By saying, no, I'm not. I actually have this amazing strategic partner in God. This activity is constant, by the way. God is not taking a day off and never feeling like, okay, this is a dead end project. I'm out here. This is constant. We have no part in it. We have no part in it, but still the Lord cannot cleanse us from any compulsion to evil in our spirits or inner selves as long as we keep the outer self closed. So the big heavy stuff God is going to do with expertise. We have a limited place we participate. We don't have to do everything. You just have to do your task. The difference, like at work, I have this huge thing versus I know exactly what I'm doing and I got to get it done. Each of the evils that we use to keep our outer self closed seems to be a single item, but there are infinite elements within it. When we dismiss it as a single item, when we do our simple part, which is just like when we just eat something, what else is healthy? Kale, something like that. Then the Lord dismisses the infinite elements that it contains. The Lord clears out all of the cholesterol and bacteria and viruses and all that. This is what it means to say that the Lord then cleanses us from the compulsions to evil in our inner nature and from the evil practices themselves in our outer nature. So that is a way that we can see a manageable task. This is how we go, and to know that we're doing okay because the Lord is always with us and always helping us, and to know that whenever you're getting messages about you're doing it wrong, you're not good enough, etc., I would say that's hell. I mean, I would say that if hell is evil and falsity, that's just hell trying to knock you off course. God is just saying, hey, I'm going to do all this big stuff. I'm with you constantly. I'm never giving up on you. Just do these little things, and we got this. That is the news from heaven. How's it feel? Did it help you at all? Leave a comment. Let me know how it worked, or any other concept we've talked about here. I'd love to know that this is making progress, and these are useful tools, and that this is something that we can use to collectively make it easier and easier to get that peaceful perspective. So let me know how it's going. Like and subscribe. I am going to express my gratitude to you for watching the show, because you watching it allows us to continue to do it, and we really enjoy doing it. So hope that we gave you something useful. Hope you go and have a great time applying that and learning it and believing it, and from that being more happy and free. All right, not so bad. See ya.